Rock Castle Plantation with Captain James Moore. Captain Moore, what was your role in this time period?
Well, you see, sir, many of the men of my detachment are veterans of the late war against Great Britain, in which we won our independence. After the War for Independence, the Army of the United States was drastically reduced. At one point, just after the war, the entire American Army was no more than about 85 soldiers. But because the frontier is expanding to the west, it has been found necessary to increase the size of our army and deploy it here to the west to make sure the peace is kept.
The period that we're talking about now,
Right.
the Revolutionary period, the blacksmiths here would have been doing farm implement repair, would have been forge welding, broken tools. We might have repaired some gun locks. We would not have done barrels because we didn't have the right tools to do barrels with here, although there were gunsmiths here early. But a general blacksmith would not have done a barrel, would have not made a barrel, but he would have done the locks and the key mechanisms, the butt plates and pieces like that. Most of what he would have done would have been farm implement related. Axes, he would have repaired or built or made axes. He would have made hammers, he would have made shovels. If they broke, he would have repaired them. Almost any kind of iron. Later, right beginning about this period and a little later, he would have been making a lot of iron hardware for cabins and houses. Shutter dogs, door latches, Suffolk latches. The forge part actually is the box that the fire sits in, and we burn charcoal because it would have been really difficult, if not impossible, to find coal in this period of time. Behind that is the bellows, and the bellows is used to furnish air to cause the charcoal to get hot enough to heat the iron red enough to move. And I tell this to kids that are coming by, if they're familiar with using Play-Doh, when it comes out of the can it's very stiff. Well, the more they work it, the warmer it gets and the softer it works. They're working that stuff at maybe 70 or 80 degrees, but they're warm it enough till it gets very pliable. We do the same thing in the fire, but that's normally coming out at about 1900 degrees.
My name is Logan, this is my brother Connor, and around these parts we're known as the Beggar Boys. We'll play you one of our favorite songs. Ready? Yes.
Is the best, for when a beggar's tired he can lay him down and rest. And a begging I will go, a begging I will go, and a begging I will go, a begging I will go. I've a black patch on me dusty coat, a black patch on me knee, but when it comes to take me on a sea as well as thee,
what would your job, what would your classification be in modern day time as for what you're doing?
I was a pewterer. Now, a lot of people mistake it as a pewter smith, but a smith is somebody who hammer things out, like a tinsmith, a silversmith, and a pewter cast things. And so he was not a pewter smith, he was a pewterer. Okay. And before the Revolution, it was supposed to import all pewter from England. The Worshippers Guild which regulated the pewter content and everything else. And so most of the pewter made in the colonies before the Revolution were kind of by, I'll call it tinkerers. They'd maybe have one spoon mold and that, and would go from town to town and repair old pewter items and cast new spoons for people. And so most all the other pewter was imported from England.
As in modern times, as far as education goes, they said in order to get your better jobs that you would have to have a better education. As the colonial days, progressed, was that the same in reference to what you do as a profession?
Yeah, she would start out as an apprentice, usually as a young boy, and start out usually just cleaning things up, cleaning up the shop and finishing the molds, finishing the spoons. When the spoons come out of the mold doesn't fit real tight together, so the air can escape. You pour the pewter in, air has to come out. And so some of the pewter escapes also. That's called flashing. So as an apprentice, you'd have the job of cutting off the sprue where you pour it in, cut off the sprue, trim off the flashings, and then finish them up. This is a finished spoon here. And this particular alloy here will polish up like silicone. So an apprentice would work for a number of years just doing odd jobs in that and watching the master craftsman until he learned how to do it, and then he would eventually then do it himself.
I'm making, well, no, it's not a pouch, it's just a strap. And this has got a wide section, like when you tie up whatever you're carrying, like he's got his, that's not quite as wide, that's over his shoulder. This one's a little heavier, so you can carry heavier items. That's got real narrow straps. You can, you know, pull your shoulder across your chest or your head, wherever you want to support the weight or whatever you're carrying.
Did y'all use that as a trade as well?
I don't know, I suppose. I'm just making one just one. I need a bigger tough line. Yeah. I suppose they may have, because I suppose if somebody wanted one, they trade it for something you wanted. Yeah, sure.
Good morning. Welcome to Rock Castle.
Thank you, thank you.
Please come in. Historic Rock Castle is the first permanent home in Middle Tennessee, meaning everything to this point had been a log cabin. It was built on a very sparsely settled frontier, and there were not a lot of available workers. That's why it took so long to build Rock Castle. It was built over a 12-year period in 3 separate stages. We began at the back of the house for the building with just the kitchen and 1 bedroom. Then the center portion, the part you're seeing right now, is the final addition, finished in 1796. This was his study, this was his office, this would have been his domain. And he was by trade a surveyor. That's what first brought him into Middle Tennessee. He was surveying what is now the Tennessee-Kentucky border. He came through this area in February of 1780. That was just 2 months after our very first settlers, all men, had arrived. And he must have loved this little fledgling community because he chose to return 4 years later with his wife Sarah and their children George and Polly. In addition to being a surveyor, he also was the Brigadier General of our state militia. He was the secretary during our territorial government. He wrote our state constitution. He named the state. He was a negotiator with the Cherokee Indians. He made the very first map of the state and ended his career by being a 2-term United States Senator. Our paneling in here is our most distinctive feature. It appears to be a maple burling with mahogany trim. It's actually a very dull, drab black walnut that is a faux graining done entirely with paint. For many years here, we thought that that was an 1850s addition done by the grandson Harry Smith, but we have since learned that it is original. It does date to around 1808, which was the year before General Smith's retirement. He's just making the house a little more fancy for enjoying his retirement years. But all of this that appears to be a natural veneer of maple burling is just a very fancy paint job. It is the earliest example of faux graining in the state of Tennessee. Tradition has that if there were a downstairs bedroom, the master had it. So we presume this to be their bedroom.
Okay.
We do have it interpreted that way today, and this would have been Sarah's domain. In the study across the foyer, I explained that that would have been Daniel's room. When guests were here, he would have been entertaining the gentlemen over there with their peach brandy and cigars, and Mrs. Smith and the ladies would be here having tea.
Okay.
Sarah Smith, we credit with actually building Rock Castle. Daniel Smith designed it. He from a distance oversaw it, but all of his work in the territorial government, His work as a surveyor took him away from home for months at a time, leaving Sarah here to supervise the workers, to make sure there were enough supplies cut, to educate her children, to oversee the servants, to raise the crops, get them to market. Sarah had to have been an extremely strong woman to have come to a very isolated frontier. Nearest neighbor was about 6 miles away, and run Rock Castle while building this house. We have a copy of our only surviving letter from Sarah Smith to Daniel. It was written in July of 1793, and she begins it, "Dearest husband, I still find myself under the disagreeable necessity of conversing with you on paper or not at all." Clearly her frustration shows in that he is off on surveying business or perhaps up working for the territorial government, leaving her here alone to manage the plantation, to build Rock Castle, and probably fight off Indians as well. She was ticked off.
Now, word made it to the most famous place in my house, the dining room. Things in here look the same as they do in modern day time. What's different about this room than it would be in modern day?
Really not a lot has changed. This was their dining parlor. It's where they would have entertained guests, taken their family meals. It's kind of a forerunner to today's family room. This is the second phase of the house. This room was probably finished somewhere around 1793. Today we show it with period pieces that would have been used in the dining parlor. And our floor in here is unusual. All of our flooring is original, but during the 1940s the family sanded and stained every room in the house except this one. And at that time they had linoleum down in here, so this floor remained untouched and is in its original condition.
Speaking of the floor, I'm glad you mentioned that. When I come in here the first time and I looked at the floor and I noticed this and I thought it was tile, and I got down close to it and felt it. It's actually canvas. This is hand painted.
Yes, it is. This is a floor cloth. It was common in the late 18th century. You would use a floor cloth anywhere you had heavy traffic, such as in the foyer or where you would be eating. It is a forerunner to linoleum. You're right, it is canvas, but they would take and paint a design on it and then put several layers of sealant on top of that so that you could mop it, you could sweep it, you would treat it like linoleum, and it's very easy to clean and take care of. This was the bedroom of the Smith's daughter, Polly. Polly was not what one thinks of an 18th century daughter, in that she was not very obedient or she was not very subservient. Polly had a mind of her own, and at age 15 she fell in love with Sam Donaldson. Sam was the brother-in-law of Andrew Jackson. Well, Polly and Sam were very much in love and they wished to get married, but because of her age, the Smiths prohibited it. Daniel Smith was intending for Polly to go to Philadelphia and go to finishing school. But one night, Andrew Jackson, being the great romantic that he was, got the idea of, why don't you elope? And he helped them make all the plans. Legend has it he made the grapevine ladder for Polly to escape down that window. They came over by horseback from Hunter's Hill, where the Jacksons were then living. Polly escaped. They went back on horseback to the river, crossed over on Sanders Ferry, and went to Hunter's Hill, where the Presbyterian minister was waiting to marry them. The next morning, General Jackson comes over here to let General Smith know what had happened to Polly. He took full responsibility. He took full blame. Said, if you're going to get mad at me, you're going to get mad at me. Which in fact General Smith did. But he also was very angry with Polly. He literally struck her name from the family Bible and said, as of this day, I no longer have a daughter. A little over a year later, she gave him his first grandson, and he forgave her then.
So I guess the old saying of, you know, they're going through the teen years, it didn't just start a couple of years ago.
It's nothing new, is
It's
it?
nothing new.
Oh, my love's like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I. I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gain dry, till all the seas gain dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. Fare thee well, my only love. Fare thee well, while I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles. Till all the seas gain dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. Fare thee well, my only love. Fare thee well. Though it were 10,000 miles.
This was the bedroom of the Smith's son, George. George was here by the time this room was built, only periodically. He was in school in Virginia, so he would only be using this room when he'd be home from school on vacation. The rest of the time it would have been used as a guest room, so they did pick one of the nicer rooms of the house. One of the unique features in this room is the hanging closet. Any closets in a house of this age are extremely rare, and Rock Castle does have 7, but that one is a hanging closet, meaning there are no shelves, there are pegs from which one can hang their clothes. And we've been told that is the earliest example in the state of Tennessee of a hanging closet. This is a room that we do not know the purpose of. For many years we referred to it jokingly as our mystery room. We still don't know the usage of this room for two very important reasons. First of all, this is the only room in the house that does not have a fireplace. It has never had a fireplace. There is a chimney centered on that wall, but no one ever cut through for a heat source. Even more importantly, this is the only room in the house that does not have cross ventilation. And you could not have been in this room in the summer without cross breeze. Just having two windows on one wall does not give adequate ventilation. We know no one lived here. They couldn't have without heat or a breeze. We think perhaps this room was just intended for future expansion. General Smith was very wealthy. He was also very frugal. He did not spend money for what he did not need. I think this room he intended at some point for his descendants to knock through and make windows, knock through and make a fireplace. But he didn't need the space, so he didn't incur the expense. His son George then inherits the house. George has 6 children, his wife, and his mother living here. But George had lost the family fortune, and George did not have money for an expansion. The next generation brought us Harry Smith, George's son. Harry had gotten wealthy surveying the Louisiana Purchase. He did not need the space. He had 1 child. His wife died in childbirth with a second child who also died. So for years it was just Harry Smith and his one and only child, Nanny Smith, later Nanny Smith Berry. He didn't need the room, so he did not expand it. Just our theory, we don't know. Today we do show the room as a museum room. This is where we have important pieces of furniture that are just not the correct period to be downstairs. The sideboard and the table belonged to George Smith. It was his circa 1830s dining room furniture. We are blessed to have it, but it does not fit with the interpretation downstairs of Daniel's lifetime. My favorite piece is this table. It is a beautiful marble-top rosewood table, but it's the provenance of the table that makes it very special. Andrew Jackson Donaldson, who was a grandson of General Smith, the son of Polly and Sam through their elopement, was the secretary to President Andrew Jackson. And while he was in Washington serving as secretary, he married. This table was a wedding present from the man who would succeed Jackson in the presidency, Martin Van Buren. Years ago we had a lovely reenactor. Her name was Cindy McHenry. And Cindy passed away and bequeathed Rock Castle her old wardrobe. Most of the pieces we use as if your bread is done, you can carefully take your toe and tap it, turn it around, and cook the other side of your bread. This is the rotisserie oven. This is where they would have cooked their meats. You can put it on the spit, and on the end nearest me, you have a number of holes bored and a hook so that you can turn this around and place your meat with various sides of it being close to the fire. It would have been used with this front surface facing the fire. Can you take a guess what this is?
I would say it was some type of stewing pot.
It is for cooking, definitely. It is a copper cook pot, but it has a very special purpose. It's a root cooker. It's for carrots, it's for parsnips, it's for any of your long root vegetables. Nowadays we cut those vegetables to fit the pot. They made the pot to fit the vegetable. Everyday candles could have been dipped, but your fancier, better candles were poured. You would put wicks in and then pour the molten wax, let them harden, and you would have a nicely formed molded candle. The corn shop broom. Again, Daniel Smith was a very affluent man, but he also was conservative with his spending. He did not spend money where he did not need to. The very front of the house, all of All of the limestone blocks are cut perfectly rectangular, symmetrical. They're in a pattern. They have a decorative mortar. This is called a ridge point mortar joint, which extends beyond the stonework. When you get to the sides and the back of the house, you'll find that the stones are randomly cut, just pieced in a mosaic pattern with regular mortar, where clearly he only hired a master stone cutter for the front of the house, but not for the sides and back.
Well, I want to thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's been delightful taking you through the house.
Square the sides off, take this off. Once I've done that, I'll come back and I'll split this log down the middle, all the way. I'll have 2 logs. Then I'll take the foot adze, lay them flat, and the wife is pretty particular about her new home, so I'll have to smooth these off. So I'll take the foot adze and I'll knock all the high spots off, smooth them down, and make them pretty for the wife.
Order, fire.
We have gathered today to conclude a treaty of friendship and peace between the President of the United States of America and the chiefs and warriors of the Cherokee Nation. It is with great honor that we welcome these representatives of both nations. We understand that both parties are desirous of establishing permanent peace, removing the causes of war, and making other necessary and just arrangements. We further understand that both parties have gifts, tobacco, blankets, and other provisions that may be necessary to promote the common interests of this occasion. And now it is my honor to recognize the Secretary of the Territory, Daniel Smith, who will conduct these proceedings.
Many thanks to Governor Blunt. Everyone appreciates his leadership and the matters that have been before us. Today we conclude these talks. I wish to thank all those who have so greatly contributed to this treaty with their wisdom and counsel. To the great chiefs and warriors of the Cherokee Nation, I wish to convey the gratitude of the great father, George Washington, General Robinson, and myself. I believe that it is the desire of all that these words of promise will be respected.
Good man.
Nu är inga kvinnor typ med mokla.
Ja.
I nästa det testo quando Trump la hataka kvinnor med mokla det han happy or not today.
For a long time, our people have fought one with the other. We now wish to make a peace between both of us that will last for a long, long time. We'll put our mark to this table. He says you're lying.
I understand the doubts of the great chief Doublehead. We all wish to quench the fire of war and bring about a peace among our people. To show you the truth, we have a gift for the chief Doublehead.
Ele çıkma sakıydı. Tamam, ele çıkma. Ele çıkma sakıydı.
Give him my horse.
Ja? Não para guardar? No piece tipo lá. Hoje
So pwede osda? Huh? Owa?
Ja.
Owa. Osda.
Please have all the witnesses step forward and sign. Captain Jenkins, solo.
Now you're all fluent in Cherokee, so he can speak to you directly.
Isn't that great? All right. We're going to do, this is a social dance that we do, and it's man, woman, but we're a little bit outnumbered. Oh, let's go. You! Whoa! Ah. Then everybody, I want to do. You! Whoa! What do we do? Louder as you can. Then I want to say, you, then you're going to say he. Okay? You, he. You, he. Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Ha, ha. Ha, ha. Ha, ha. He. I'm not even going to get into complicated stuff. I'm just going to give y'all are good in Cherokee, by the way. I'm just going to give you the stuff that you can repeat. We'll have fun, right? And if you follow the leader, hang on. It's sort of like follow the leader. We're going to, at one point, maybe leave it both hands, and the people on the outside are going to be going really fast. Sush. All right? So we're going to line up. I want to start. So, man, we're going to... tribal traditions of man, woman, man, woman. Wow, all right. Circle, everybody fall into a line. Don't worry about it. You get behind me. Come get behind me. All right. We're going to make a bigger circle, guys.
I'm going to go walk with you, okay? I need a man over here.
Okay. Somebody fall in behind him.
Okay.
We'll let the little kids on the outside just do what they want. So, all right. Keep coming. Get in here. Okay. All right, y'all remember? You. You. That was pitiful. That's pitiful. I'm going to start this again. I want to see you do it. You. You. Wait. Oh, hey.
Or have you come to see me hung on the sycamore tree? No, I've not come with silver or gold, no money to pay your fee, but I have come to see thee hung on the sycamore tree.
So what are y'all doing over here?
We're holding the smokehouse up.
I see y'all camped out and got your little lean-tos and everything over here. So y'all just hanging out, just
waiting on a deer to come by.
Okay.
Or an Indian.
Or an Indian.
Or an Indian. Or a runaway slave.
Hey, well, I got my papers. Hold on.
Yeah,
I got my papers.
You're freed, man.
Yeah, I'm freed now. I'm not running anymore. I promise. I promise I'm not running. I got my papers. I promise. I'll be right back. I got to go get them.
That's the last we see.
That's the last.
Nottingham Mail, boys, Nottingham Mail, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham Mail. Nottingham Mail, boys, Nottingham Mail, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham Mail.
chicken vendors and what they do and how their craft took place back in the 1700s. We have a bookbinder here. I know you guys that get books, you think that, you know, they just go through the machine and come out and ready to read. But back in the 1700s, they actually had to bind these books together. Just in case you were wondering, a minute ago, we were speaking in full-blooded Cherokee. But if you notice, we were being played a trick upon because that full-blooded Cherokee is speaking great English. Listen.
Like this. Like, I can't freaking win.
That's always classy, huh? Especially when everybody's watching.
Nothing says double head like a drunken monkey.
See? And he said that he couldn't speak English or understand us, but it seems that he can clearly understand what we're saying and what we're doing. Therefore, it lets you go, even back in the 1700s, when they was playing trick on the white man about couldn't understand the peace treaty. They really played a trick on him. They took land away. They stole the land from the white man, saying that they couldn't understand English. But you can clearly see, don't believe him. He can understand English. He understands English. Trust me, I'll prove it.
Here's to you, brother.
They're being paid in rum.
And did we miss anybody?
About all we can expect.
Anybody? Bob?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we got to have him in here. He's got to have him. All right, there you go. To you, brother.
No. Missed that one. He needs one. Yeah. I think I'll lay it up.
Rum rash?
Oh, yeah. It's my payoff for not running.
All right, who's off?